Welcome back to another episode of In My Xperience on the JPEG podcast. I'm your host, Jean-Paul Gedeon, and today I have a very special guest, Tim Rowe from the Out of Home Insider. What's up, Tim? Great to be back here.
So good to be back, man. Yeah, I was just thinking about it. It was like this time a year ago that I think we first talked.
You know, it was at the beginning of this pandemic, so maybe it was like February, March, maybe
Okay.
April, but
Okay.
it was
Man,
early.
time flies.
I want to go back. I'm going to have Alex, my video guy, cut back to the episode of how bad my audio was and my crappy video on my phone
on the
FaceTime.
table. Yeah, for sure.
Like I
Dude,
had a
that was
computer
like
back
day
then.
one. That was 2020.
Yeah, that was so quick. And
Oh man.
we were talking about all sorts of things. Opportunity was like that word that kept popping up.
Yeah.
But I want to reach back here. I mean, I was on your show, now you're on my show, and it's really like similar groups but different. So I kind of wanted to see where you have come from, man. Your journey along this, you seize the opportunity. Like I talked about it and I went a different route on like focusing on my business part of it, not as much as like the podcasting. And you just you dived in. So
Yeah, man.
how did
Hammer
that work?
down.
How did it work?
So really it worked because I wasn't. I got furloughed and then my position got eliminated. But the lapse between being furloughed and ultimately getting having the position be eliminated was about 2 months. And I really looked at it as how can I be the most valuable to my company in this time when I'm furloughed. So I'm just going to double down on creating content, right? That was the thesis of the show anyway, was, hey, if we can create this podcast, this place, then that's going to create business opportunities and it's going to be good for the industry. So that's how I looked at it, went hammer down. And then they said, hey, we don't need you back. So I figured, well, I got nothing else to do. I might as well keep the pedal on the floor.
Right. So, man, for years, like I've been in the out-of-home industry for 2014. I registered the business, but didn't really do anything with it till a couple years in. And I was looking for all sorts of publications, magazines, and like I'd have to scour through YouTube videos, which are not that good. And, sometimes they're of the events that were going on, but not really too much documentation. I found Brent's podcast, Dave Westberg, and they have a different style. Then I found Out of Home Insider. I'm like, yep, I vibe right here. Definitely like a digital native. You get it. Like you get it, you know? You're not an older one. You're not just in the financial and the legal part like Dave Westberg is. And I love his show for that. Like
So valuable.
it's just straight up. He's talking legal. He's talking financial. And then when you rolled up, you brought in like all the guests I wanted to hear from, all the tech companies, all the younger guys doing their thing. So you definitely bridge the gap. You bridge the gap of the industry, like age group, at least for me.
It's funny because when I started the podcast, I didn't know that either of those guys existed. In fact, when I came up with the name, my counterpart, Ali Rupi, she's a business development director at Adams in Eastern Pennsylvania. And she was just the right person to be a counterpart of, because she gave me so much encouragement early on. Tim, this is just what the industry needs, this and that. Because I tell people, like, I'm a recovering digital marketer. And really what that means is that before I saw out of home work for myself in analytics, the way that I could understand it, I didn't think it worked. I didn't, right? There was no way that I could quantify value. And I placed a bunch of media for lots of clients and, worked in ad agency and run millions of dollars worth of ads. And I was a digital guy. Right. So Ali Rupi was really key in encouraging me. And I came into work and I was like, all right, I came up with the name. I'm going to call it Out of Home Insider. And I'll never forget, our creative director stopped me. He's like, I think that name's already taken. And I was like, oh, that sucks so bad. And then when I went back and it was Billboard Insider and Out of Home Today, I was like, oh, hey, cool. It's like this perfect fusion of these two things that already exist. And I don't know. I think that might've been a growth hack if I told you I was intentional about it.
Yeah, right. So moving forward with the guest that you brought on, I think you really you talk about being like the loudest voice in out of home. I think you've been one of the most uh inclusionary, is that a word? You've
If it's not,
included
it
and
should be.
given people a voice. You've given like the smaller guys a voice. You've given newcomers in the industry a voice, and you connected with some, Ian from Lamar. Like, this is not a small company. You're talking with the big guys too, and
Yeah.
we just getting insights from them, or Rapify, and you know, it's a broad spectrum where you're bringing it.
Man, it's real cool. And like that, like there's no rhyme or reason to it. I just try to connect with people that I think would be real cool to talk to. Um, and listen, if I haven't connected with you yet, it's not because I don't think you're cool. It's maybe just we haven't met yet. But the first episode was James Heller from Rapify, right? And I just reached out and was like, hey man, I'm gonna do this podcast. Do you want to be my first guest? And he said, yeah. And then I sent him, so I don't know how I did this to this day. I sent him 3 different Zoom meeting links. So I just remember like sweat, like beads of sweat dripping off my face when I'm like trying to log into each one of these to figure out where he is. I'm like, this is an Inc. 500 CEO. And I've sent him 3 different Zoom links. Like, this is a terrible first impression. But yeah, the gang of Rapify have been so generous, and everybody. And it's cool, like connecting with so many different people, because then like, I think about like a switchboard operator, right? You ever see the videos,
Yeah.
Because
Cigarettes and
hello, thank you for calling. And because, right, it's back to the thing that a lot of people talk about is fragmentation within the industry. We've got some great platforms coming online to bring assets and buyers and sellers marketplaces and all those things. But at the end of the day, like, so much of this is still people, right? And being kind of in the middle and talking to, hey, I'm talking to this person, and there's this other person I just talked to, and you don't know each other yet, but you totally should. And to hear that those things are turning into business opportunities and people are like doing business together because of the podcast, that's pretty cool.
hell yeah. What do you wish you would have known when you first started out, doing the podcast right now? How many episodes are you in? Like 58, 59?
Yeah. So officially 53 episodes are in the episode lineup. There's 2 kind of like what I called Friday live drives. So 55 are on the books, 53 are called episodes.
Mm-hmm. Wow. What do you wish you would have known like earlier starting out, now that you're this deep into it?
Man, it's funny because it's such a good question, because the things I wish I knew starting out are the things that I think you have to learn along the way.
Oh,
Like when
right.
just now, right, as we're getting on here, we're setting things up and you're teaching me things that I didn't know, that I'm like, I wish I knew that. That's very cool, right? This 2-angle thing is such a dope idea. And look, I'm a year into this and I hadn't done it yet. So I'd read a statistic that 80% of podcasts don't make it past episode 10. I didn't see that stat until like episode 30. But
Nice.
when I saw that, I thought that that's like a really good bullseye for somebody who's thinking about starting a pod. Is I'm going to get to episode 11, right? Like, I don't know how I'm going to get there. And if you go back and even look at like the first 10 episodes of Out of Home Insider, I think I did 7 episodes without a guest. Like, I just turned on the camera and talked about a thing I thought was interesting, because I didn't know people. I didn't have credibility. But it was those early guests just being willing to jump on a thing that had no following. The things that I wish I knew that maybe I didn't wish I knew, like how the analytics have really helped to get precise. I look at each show as how many unique viewers show up and how long do they stay for. And once I really latched on to that metric as like a barometer for success, that really helped refine the format of the show, how I wanted to drive the conversation, because I knew what the mile markers were that I needed to get to by certain points in the episode to, again, from an analytics standpoint, ensure that I had put together a really solid product. So the analytics, I think, are really important. The technicals, not so much. I think I just got this microphone and headset like 10 episodes ago. Before that, I was doing it with a $35 Logitech, camera. Like
Logitech.
Logitech represent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the things that I wish I knew are probably the things that I think you got to learn.
So kind of segueing right into that, what you learned, what makes a good episode? Like, do you have questions already like out, or are they just in your head? Are you freestyling? Is there a certain length that you found is the best to stick to? Half an hour, 1 hour, 3 hours?
Yeah. So it's it's where I'm comfortable. It's not for everybody. I just freestyle, man. I go into it with a really solid understanding. Some of my guests I've never talked to before the episode. Some, like yourself, we're friends, right? We're friends offline, and it's going to be different. But I go into it with a little bit of prep. I like to see, can I find a couple articles on this person, check out their LinkedIn profile, like what are they all about? But that's kind of the thing with our industry is there's not a ton of information on these people. Um,
Yeah.
so you kind of go into it a little bit uh, unprepared by nature. And I think for me, it's a comfortable place to be because then the conversation just flows, right? I don't have to stick to my questions. We can talk about a thing, and if you say something that's really thought provoking, or I want to know more about, or maybe I've got an opinion on, we can deep dive and spin that out and unpack it a little bit more. So that's how I go about it. Is definitely freestyle, and then from a time length, it's so funny because right, the TED Talks, 20 minutes or less, that's the sweet spot. For I've done 20 minutes. We did like a 90-minute episode. And the average view time stays about consistent, with the exception of the really long ones. The really long ones, the view time stays consistent with the 20 and 30-minute episodes, but the number of viewers goes down drastically. All right. And I think it's time commitment. People look at it and go, oh, it's 80 minutes long. Like, I don't know if I got time for that. Unless the guest is like really interesting. So I try not to do anything too long. 20 to 30 minutes is really the sweet spot. And honestly, the 30-minute episodes perform the best.
Hmm. How do you get your analytics? I went to your website. Was it Buzzsprout, or how are you getting your analytics and just setting your whole thing up? If you don't mind
Yes,
me asking like these
not at all.
questions, how do we copy you, Tim?
Yeah,
How do we
listen,
copy what you're doing?
I'm so glad that you asked the question, because if it helps somebody to get past episode 10 because they can relieve some of the frustration of learning, yeah, use Buzzsprout, which is there's probably like a smart technical name for it, but it's like a distribution platform. I upload it there and it pushes it out to every podcast platform that you could possibly imagine, and a whole bunch that you've never heard of before. So the podcast lives everywhere. I only have to upload it once through Buzzsprout, and
Wow.
it's free. It's free up to like a couple hours of upload time, and it's really inexpensive after that. I think I spend $12 a month to support about two hours worth of content, of new content, and that's all the episodes live up there. None of them fall off. So I use Buzzsprout for the audio side, and then YouTube for everything video.
Hmm.
And I don't do any editing. If I knew how to do it, I would, but I don't know. I don't know that I would, because the format of the show has been that, and I don't think I would want to change it. So I don't do any editing whatsoever. I press record, and then I stop record at the end of the conversation. I take that file, I upload it to YouTube, I upload it to Buzzsprout, and then I go promote it.
What I noticed from your show, it feels like I'm part of the conversation. Maybe because I
Yeah.
know you enough. Like, I've never met you in person, but I
No.
talk to you. We comment on each other's things on LinkedIn. But when you're talking, I feel like I'm hanging out. You know what I mean? I'm just not talking. I'm just watching. So I don't know, is your voice or how you're talking to people. I think you got that, like, I don't know, Santa Claus, young Santa Claus going
Oh
on.
man. Yeah, I'm so glad that you said that, because that's how I think of it. Is I'm like, I want this to be a conversation that anyone can feel like they're the fly on the wall of, right? Like, how many times do we say like, oh man, I wish I could be on the fly on the wall of those two people talking. So that's the format of the show. Like, make this as much like that, where you could just be sitting at the table next to me with a cocktail and be like, huh, let me listen to this. That's interesting. Oh wow.
I
Huh.
may or may not have listened to it while having a cocktail, just chilling out.
Listen, man, I may or may not have done it without it while having a cocktail.
All right. I'm gonna get into something right here.
Let's do it.
You have a sponsor in the back from John. Is that John?
Yeah, how cool is that, man? Like, so that came, Jonathan has just like been such a, like yourself, man, early supporter of the show, and he called up one day and he's like, "Hey, man, I want to sponsor your show." So currently there are sponsorship spaces available right now. I want to keep the backdrop up because Jonathan, again, he was an early believer, first
Mhm.
first official sponsor. So we've got some sponsorships coming available, and a lot of people asking about it. So yeah, that's
So
been a pretty wild turn.
what would it be in like an ideal sponsorship for you? Like what kind of sponsorships are available for podcasts? I assume you've kind of looked more into this now that you're getting serious on it and you got quite a great roster of guests. You got a lot of valuable
Yeah.
content there, not found anywhere
Yeah.
else.
No, well, yeah. So, and that's how I look at it is, I look at it as what's the value of the audience. And I'm very particular about the audience, right? Because it's more than just people listen to a podcast. It's become a community, right? Like you took action on a guest that I had on, and that's important to me. I have a responsibility to people that listen to the show to bring good guests that are credible and trustworthy and will do the thing that they said they're going to do. And equally for sponsors, right? Like it's got to be people that I can know and trust will take care of the audience. So the sponsorship, if you will, like what's the package? If you wanted to get one of these things made, you totally can, and then we'll put put your logo up there, which is cool. So you're always in the background. But it's a read at the beginning of the episode. Hey, welcome to Out of Home Insider. Today's show is brought to you by, and a bit about you, and then we go right into the conversation. You get tagged at every social post. You get 4 posts times 3 platforms, and pretty solid following and good impression counts and all those things. But the way that I quantify the value is by who listens. Who listens to
Mm.
the show, and actually LinkedIn gives you some really good analytics because I have a business page. I think that's what they call it, like a business page
Yeah.
for the podcast. Listen, if you have a business or a podcast, or if you have any sort of entity, anything, and you don't have a LinkedIn business page, you are absolutely missing the boat. That has been talk about growth hacks. Listen, you can invite people, like you can invite up to 100 people at a time to like or follow your page, right? So you can actively build an audience and not rely on
Mm.
people going to your podcast and subscribe. Like people subscribe and they will subscribe. And if you ask them to subscribe, they will subscribe. But just real quick, you can build an audience out of the people that already know, like, and trust you. And the really cool thing about that is I don't need to make my entire personal feed on LinkedIn all about my podcast, right?
Huh.
Mondays or Tuesdays when an episode drops, it's always about the podcast and who that guest is, a little bit, a little teaser. After that Monday, none of my personal social has anything to do with the show, right? It goes to LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. It goes out to all those other places. So the LinkedIn business page is super dope for that. And because the analytics are really, really solid because everyone on LinkedIn is who they say they are, right? It's really them. And
Less catfishing.
right, less catfishing, and typically their job title is up to date because either they're proud to be working someplace or actively looking for a job. So you've got really accurate information on LinkedIn, and it gives you audience data. Who's your audience? What types of roles do they work in? What markets do they work in? So I can tell you that the 35% of my audience is New York metro based, right? And I can tell you that they're either media owners, media executives, agency owners, agency executives, and then business development people from both sides. So when I'm talking to a sponsor, I can talk intelligently about, hey, my core audience is this. The podcast has 85% penetration here in the US, it's 15% international. On the YouTube, on the video side, about 60% domestic, 40% international audience. And who those people are media and agency executives and their business development teams. Is that somebody that you'd want to be in front of? Okay, yeah, it is. Cool. So with each episode, then I look at how many unique downloads does an episode get. On the audio side, it's about 55 unique downloads per episode, which is cool and really humbling again, because back in those early days, I think we did 360 downloads last month of October on 4 episodes. And October of 19 was the first month of the podcast. We did three downloads. And I think we did 12 total in the first 3 months. So, knowing who your audience is, understanding how long they're tuning in for on the YouTube analytics, it gives you some pretty good information there. Unique viewers, again, that's a metric that I look at, and then average view time. So I can say to you, okay, what would it be worth for you to put your brand in front of an audience of 75 of those right people, right? Executives from both sides of the table, in front of 75 of those people each week for 10 to 12 minutes. How valuable would that be? If you could get all of them in a room to pay attention to you for 10 minutes, what would you pay for that attention? And I know that I'm way undercharging against what that attention's worth, but like for me, it's, you know, it's side hustle. It's
So did you put a price to it yet?
yeah. So right now going rate is $250 an episode, which I think is a pretty bang up value because back to your point, like where else are you going? Like you do have a choice, Billboard Insider, you know, Out of Home Today. But if what you're looking for is this type of format, then it's the only game in town so far. You know,
So I
obviously
noticed
coming to the
Out of
space.
Home Insider, you know, comparing to, and I like everybody, right? I'm agnostic here.
Sure.
Billboard Insider, Out of Home Today, they do a podcast. You know, they both kind of have started their podcast parts in there. I really like Dave Westberg's one. He jumps right in, then he's out. I'll see you next week. You know, he just drops like all this like insider. I guess they do loans, like Billboard loans, and he owns some structures himself.
Okay.
And then he really stays up to date with the legal aspect. But they have a web presence, but no video. You're taking advantage of the video part, and you're doing it quick. Like you jumped on it quick. Are you gonna, build out your web presence? Is it gonna be moving forward? Is this like a full-time gig, and where do you see it going?
Man, it's really cool because as like what you're doing, what the gang of Rapify is doing, what Mac is doing at Carvertise, and pardon me. You know, we've got so many people that are starting to create content. Next evolution of the show is actually to build out like a Netflix of out of home content creators, a place that we can all live and exist. You know, it's got to be video format. But with that, you get the benefit of the collective, right? Your audience is different than my audience. We've got some overlap, but we can all end up at this one place. And now, hey, maybe I like listening to your show, but I'm getting introduced to somebody else because we're here in this same place hanging out. So yeah, Netflix of out of home creators, content creators. That's the next evolution.
Could you explain what that means? I'm nodding my head like that sounds good, but what does that mean? The Netflix of content creators.
Yeah. So, right. So you've got a killer podcast. You know, I love what Jason Hansen's doing at Rapify with, right. With his anatomy of the ad. He's wicked talented. You know, Rapify guys will put out webinars and all this stuff. It's, okay. Like rather than us all just having this exist in our little ecosystem, if we put it all in the same place and anyone can come get it at any time, right? I could just go to theohinsider.com and I've got I've got a JPEG podcast playlist, and I've got Out of Home Insider, and I've got, you know, Carvertise and whoever, the Garrett Crenshaw and Crenshaw Visions, their mobile LED truck billboard company out of North Carolina. They've got like super high production quality stuff and a podcast, and we're gonna do a podcast next week about creating content as an out of home company and how valuable that can be. So just a place where everybody can come dump their stuff, and you benefit from my audience, I benefit from yours, and we grow this thing together.
Wow, that's awesome. What would episode be like, featuring your company? Like if I was to do one for my company,
oh,
you'd
have your own channel on it. You'd have your own channel, right? So somebody would go to theohinsider.com, and just as they would see Narcos tile right there on their homepage, they're going to see JPEG podcast. And they'll be like, oh, you know what? I like that one. I'm going to listen to that one right now. And then maybe they listen to an episode of somebody else's stuff, or like a quick 5-minute video from someone else on another thing.
Okay. So you're pretty much like curating a bunch of the content creators.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's your website's like an aggregate, bring them together. Cause we're pretty niche, you know what I mean? And being niche and fragmented, it becomes very disconnected.
Totally. Right. And the only way that we're going to grow this pie is by bringing in, I mean, younger media buyers who are more apt to buy digital forms of marketing, right? And this is the way that they consume. And if we can make them real comfortable with the people and the personalities behind our industry, one, it's going to make the conversation about how we're a little bit clunky a lot easier, right? People buy from people they like. Um, but also it's just going to introduce new ideas and new ways of thinking about out of home to people that have the money to influence significant change.
All right, you said it right here. The change. Like I was saying earlier, I couldn't find a lot of publications about out of home because I wanted
Yeah.
to learn, right? I wanted to dig in and learn. I couldn't find much. And now I see like, okay, go on Facebook ad library. Who's advertising on Facebook? And then they show the Instagram ones too, right? I've only seen, I think like 3 companies. One, I believe, was Steel City Billboards. Blip was on there,
Yep.
and a company called Terra Boost that does hand sanitizer station advertising in like the
Okay.
CVS, Safeways, Rite Aid kind of stuff. Those are the only guys who I see advertising. I was like, okay, I asked it on Kahoot. I don't know if you're on there too. I asked it on Kahoot, like, is anyone here using digital marketing to drive out of home sales? And I think a couple of not the coolest feedback. Like I'm like, damn, this is anonymous. Like it brings out the worst in people. Tell me to go myself. I'm like, nah. Oh, but anyway, I'm not seeing a lot of people do it. So that's something personally like I want to focus on because
100%.
I'm locking up more media all the time and I got more inventory to sell. I want to show up in the most relevant way possible where we know people are. I'm not all out of home. I'm not all digital. It's everything. It's
Listen,
radio,
I'm gonna give
TV, like
you.
yeah.
I'm gonna give you the nugget, and
I want it.
by the time someone listens to this, they're gonna go to buy it, and they're gonna be pissed because you will have already done so. Billboardsnearme.com is an available URL on GoDaddy. The reason why that's relevant and why what you just said is the greatest opportunity that every billboard and out of home company has slept on for way too long. If you go into Google Keyword Planner, you can see how frequently people are searching for things. I haven't looked specifically for Hawaii, but I know that California makes up 50% of the search volume for the search term billboards near me. And it totals in the thousands of searches every month.
Wow.
Who do you think is typing in billboards near me? People
Good
that are looking
question,
to
huh?
buy billboards, right? I think
Yeah. Intent.
Lamar spends some money on SEM, but what a great opportunity from an SEO, from a search engine marketing standpoint, um, to go capture that. You've got people who are actively looking for you. You could get people interested in your medium through digital marketing. It's ignorant. It's honestly it's ignorant to just not do it. But I think that's maybe a little bit of some legacy mindset mixed in there too.
So there's billboards in, which is Do Media. You go to Do Media and then it takes you to billboards in and then
Yep.
whatever city. Um, so I don't know what I'm saying right here is I see some white space.
Huge white space. It's blue ocean, man. Like, right. So Blip got to where they are. How? Now, I'm not trying to take anything away from their business development team and super smart people. And listen, I'm not mad at the game, but what did they do? They took billboard owners' space, right? Put their own ads up on it, layered it with Facebook, which Facebook tells us Facebook ads work 13% better when combined with out of home. Facebook understands out of home works.
Mm-hmm.
So Blip just took your free space that you didn't value properly, and then they ran some Facebook ads on top of it, and now they've got Joe's Pizza, who you wouldn't have walked in to try and sell them a digital billboard, is now spending $1,000 a month on Blip.
Yeah, I think
Like
that's
that,
awesome.
any billboard company in the like anyone could do that. Any billboard company could throw up their own self promo, put some Facebook ads together targeting small business owners in their area, and do exactly what Blip did, but they didn't, so Blip did.
So Blip did. You know what they say? Sales cures all. Sales cures all. So if you get someone rolling up and saying I can bring you more revenue or something with your unsold space, I mean that's the whole thing about AdQuick and Do Media and Vistar and Adomni and all these people, right? I mean, but they've created more of a platform now where it's, but that's essentially what they're doing. But they've built out a tech product that
Correct.
features you, and you could search and categorize and filter, which is awesome.
Right. It's smart. And then they're going and educating the buy side. I mean, they're salespeople. They're non-commission, or they're not non-commission. They're non-salaried salespeople, right? They eat
Yeah.
what they kill. It's smart. I love it. I think it's great.
You know what I've noticed from being more new. You know, I didn't grow up in the out of home industry. I grew up in uh, sourcing, design, and printing, and all that. And what I've seen rolling up in the real estate agents, there's like more real estate agents per capita in Hawaii
No kidding.
than majority of states. You can Google that. If we had Jamie from the Joe Rogan podcast, he'd bring it out right now and he'd tell me exactly what it is.
He sure would. What does that take you? Right. I mean, that's crazy. So what
So
about him?
so exactly right here, commission salespeople
Yep.
selling inventory that is online through a broker, whoever is the brokerage. Commercial real estate is out of home, is like traditionally, you know, right here. So you're leasing space. You know, you lease the stalls for a parking company, I lease the walls.
Right.
Or you're going to sell out one of the inline stores to a tenant or an office space. I'm going to sell it to the same tenant, but on a wall or on the floor graphics. So I looked at a couple of other companies who are like really recruiting outside salespeople, commission only, performance bonuses, you know, no benefits, just roll up and sell it. And there's some killers out there who are doing like quite a bit of revenue. And then there's some people who are selling one off here and there, and some people selling nothing. But to have this team out there, if you have enough inventory, I kind of relating it like, man, I think I'm going to recruit some more outside salespeople, independent contractors who we are the brokerage because we're the media owner. We have the exclusive spaces
Mm-hmm.
and bring other people in to give them opportunity for jobs, man. There's a lot of salespeople who are really good who just, unfortunately, through no wrongdoing of their own, are out of a job.
Yeah, I think, and that's where, shout out to Matthew Olivieri at AdSemble, because he's got a killer. It's called the Ambassador Program, and they generate first party leads from their podcast, from some marketing, things like that. And, anyone can jump on and pick up it's like driving Uber. They can jump on, pick up a lead, text the lead. And these are real small business owners. I wanted to test it out for myself. They're real small business owners who are really interested in doing it. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of hungry people out there. Out of home's hot, and it's just going to get hotter. Now could be a great time to pick up some people for the bench.
Wow, I like that you said that. See, this is something I didn't even know. And that's why these conversations are awesome.
So valuable.
So, Geopath was going to do a one time happy hour, out of home happy hour.
Yeah,
That turned into a consistent thing. That's where I'm meeting a bunch of people.
that's cool. Like, and I dropped out of it a couple months ago, mostly because I was just drinking too much beer. But yeah, I mean, I think that's great. That's done a brilliant job of bringing people together. And Kim Frank's got another project going on with Andrea Henley and Deanna Sanders. ohtalent.com. ohtalent.com is it's like the job board for out of home companies and people that work at out of home looking for a new home. We're at a really, really cool time.
Yeah. I had 3 people hit me up from out of home talent, oohtalent.com.
For real?
Yeah, 3 people applied. Like one guy from All Over Media and then a couple other people from other companies.
Listen, now is the time. If you've got an idea and you're in this space, like just do it.
Yeah.
You want to start a podcast and unseat me? Go for it. Like, let's go. It's just rising tide lifts all ships.
Yeah, yeah. So you talked about what you were seeing as kind of the Netflix, the curation of, content for the out of home world. So out of home insider becoming a full-fledged media company.
I mean, that's really the direction, right? That's the cool part about being open to evolution. Is just that, right? And with that next level up, if you will, there's probably like a technical word or like phrase for this, but maybe it's just leverage, maybe it's just leverage, but like the amount of work that I'm putting into it doesn't necessarily change if I want to add more people into the mix, right? Like I
Hmm.
create this platform, you can upload your stuff and wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Like, but we've grown, right? We've effectively grown. Yeah, so that's the next evolution there is to add that. I've toyed with the idea of an out of home insider conference. Took a survey a couple months ago to see how people would feel about meeting up in person. And I think that could be a really cool opportunity, something small, something intimate, like 100 people or less, probably like invitation only, go retreat somewhere, somewhere cool, and have cool conversations about important stuff that everyone cares about. So that's another idea. And then, on the personal / professional front, got a really, really cool announcement coming up in probably the next 60 days. So Out of Home Insider will continue to go on, continue to evolve, but I'm taking my talents to South Beach.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, not literally South Beach. The South Beach is pretty nice. Yeah, dude. Pretty cool. There's I can't say quite yet, but there's a very exciting out of home company. I'll be taking over as their VP of marketing in the next couple of months. So I'm like so excited to just to put back into the company, like what I've been doing here. Like this has been such an excellent exercise in understanding how our industry is put together and how the pieces work with one another. So to be able to take that and really use it to help a company scale is, I'm just crazy excited about it.
Yeah. So, you do a good job at featuring people. It's not like the Out of Home Insider is the Tim Rowe show. It's not like all about you. You do
Yeah.
a good job at really featuring your guest. And that hack right there of being not like selfless, to a full on extent, but really giving people a voice. What has come of that for you? What kind of like business development, like whether it's intended or unintentional, what kind of things translated from this? People want to know, did you get any business from it? Like revenue? Did you
Have
have
I
something to
put
sell?
money in my pocket? No. Have I helped to generate a lot of money for other people? Yes. Could I have had some of that if I maybe did business differently? Probably. Um, I'm looking at like this is like a total Gary V mindset of like I'm just give because someday I'm gonna need something and I'll have so much equity built up that you're not going to hesitate to help. And that's really, those are the types of relationships I want, right? Where you're just, here's a great book. This guy, Jesse Cole, he owns a baseball team in Savannah, Georgia called the Savannah Bananas. And he has a saying that make people feel like they got so much value that they took advantage of you.
Hmm.
Make people feel like they took advantage of you. And I think that that's a really good KPI for really the value that you're creating. So I think that that's pretty cool. Have I made money from the show through the sponsorship? Yeah, absolutely. Right. I was just came back from a weekend with my girlfriend that was paid for by sponsorship. So that's very cool. But no, I haven't made any money through any business or anything like that.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, you're still building the platform right now. You're coming from Adams to your own thing. You're still building the whole thing out.
Well,
Well, that
listen,
was
if I was at Adams, then yes, I guarantee I would have made money.
straight
Um,
up.
Truthfully, I haven't had anything to sell.
Hmm. So what I kind of wanted to lead into that. So I believe I'm on episode 11.
You
And what
made
I've
it.
seen, yeah, I made it, right? I didn't know. That's why I was asking you the number. Like, what's the number? But I like it. It's fun. I mean, if in person, I'm just talking the same like this. This is 100% who I
So
am.
I could be sitting right next to you.
Yeah, I mean, you are. There's two of you on my screen right now. There's four of us. It's me, myself, and Tim and
Irene,
Mr. T.
Irene.
So what I tapped into was talking to people who I think they were doing really dope work, like
Yeah.
designers. There's a designer I just had on the show, and he does branding and rebranding for hotels in
Yeah.
Waikiki, which is like a main driver of revenue. And just featured him. And I don't want anything from. I'm not trying to get their business. I just think these are people who are like really doing dope things, and I
Yeah.
want to feature them. And it turned into a month later. He's like, "Hey, I have a project. I need some printing done for some custom door hangers made out of acrylic, a custom shape, and all these kind of like special things you can't just buy off the
Yeah.
shelf. And then that turned into a few $1,000s worth of business. And then another guest I had, we have a financial advisor company. They're like, hey, want to redo our whole office, the wall wraps, like 3D cut lettering on the walls for our mission statement, etched glass privacy for our conference rooms. And I guess because we're a B2B and I'm
Yeah.
bringing business owners, or this, it just made sense. And I was not even looking for really business. I wanted to build like a hobby, kind of a passion show,
Yeah.
where we talk. And it's translating. So it's the whole Gary Vee thing, except I haven't asked. I'm just giving, and it's coming.
Totally.
But I mean, fruits of your labor sometimes pays off. And I think the more we don't ask, to a certain extent, the better.
Right. It's like building up the tension of the, just like, come on, like, let's just do business together.
Yeah.
It's, dude, I tell people all the time, like, starting a podcast is the greatest business development hack that
Yeah.
you've never tried, for exactly those reasons. And like, so quickly, that's another thing that's on the list of things to check off in the next 12 months is to write the book. I want to write a book called Becoming the Insider: How to Become an Expert in Any Industry in Less than 12 months, because you talk to so many people, you see how so many things work, and it's different, right? A cold call, how many times you got to cold call someone before they pick up the phone?
Yeah.
Right? You got to, like, that's a grind. But if I have a platform, it doesn't matter the size of the platform. If I can call you up and be like, hey, Jean-Paul, I think like what you're doing is super, super dope. Like, I've got this podcast about this thing, and you'd be a great guest. Is that something you'd be interested in doing? Yeah. I don't, no one has told me no.
Right.
No.
That's great.
Right. And back to, if I had something to sell, if I was still at Adams and I called up, now a good friend, if I called up Brian Rappaport and was like, hey man, can I tell you a really cool story about this market that I have and this killer deal on inventory that I've got and how it's perfect for like these brands that you work with. We're going to have that conversation. And it was, it was just a couple of conversations to get there rather than months of emails and LinkedIn messages and phone calls. Maybe he wants to talk to me, maybe he doesn't. But you just go right to the front of the line.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Gay, who was one of your favorite guests? Like
Oh man.
episode, like favorite episode or favorite guest, or it doesn't even have to be like the most viewed one, but which one did you like the best, and kind of, sampled that and wanted to like recreate at least the questions or the conversation or how it flowed?
It's a really good question. So John Laramie, round one, the first episode I did with John Laramie is really special to me. One, because the episode was killer. But two, because John actually like, I John made me feel like I was legit, because he was grilling me on all those analytics we were talking about earlier. He's like, well, how many people listen to your show? How long do they watch for? Like, he was grilling me and I had the answers, right? I was so glad that I had the answers. I'm like, oh, damn, this dude's taking me real serious. So that episode will always have a very special place in my heart for that reason.
Mr. Man. So, Tim, you're a Marine.
Semper
You
Fi.
were a Marine, right?
Yeah,
Semper
once a Marine,
Fi.
always a Marine. Yeah, all that.
That's awesome, man. Thank you for your service. I salute you.
Well, thank
And
you for your support, man.
yesterday was the day that, I mean, I think more than just one day a year, Veterans Day, that we should actually show love and support to our veterans. My family, my mom's side, is a lot of people in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. She's straight up American from Utah, and my dad, he's from Beirut, Lebanon. So
Yeah.
they're also in the armies, like the People's Army, and one of my uncles is the head of the People's Army, he's like the leader.
Oh, that's
But
cool.
it's a different army. Like, this is this is not a U.S., but they're both fighting the good fight. So I see what it really means more than people even think about.
Thank you, man. Thank you. The Marine Corps is lucky. The Marine Corps, our birthday is on the 10th. November 10th is the Marine Corps birthday, and then November 11th is Veterans Day. So, like, if you're active duty, this week is like a whole week off from work, and we have a big birthday party, and it's a good time. And then you got Veterans Day right after it. So Marine Corps is pretty lucky.
So did being a Marine and in the service, did that help you get disciplined? Because you seem pretty disciplined on putting out episodes. And how often do you put them out? You say like a Monday, Tuesday. What's your schedule?
Yeah, I
So
try
for
to
people to
drop
know,
them
like,
every
how are you
Monday.
doing it?
I try to drop them every Monday. Recording schedules will change and vary. I've had weeks where I've recorded as many as 8 episodes in 1 week. I think July I dropped 2 episodes a week, and I was doing like 8 a week, 8 a week. But drop one on Monday, drop one on Thursday. One a week is kind of the right schedule, right? Because I work full time, so trying to work it in and around people's schedules. One a week is my routine, and I like to drop them on Mondays. This last week dropped on Tuesday. Sometimes things get shuffled around. But yeah, drop it every Monday. Um, the discipline part was really valuable in once I figured out the technicals and I figured out, all right, here's how this is going to work. And here's who the audience is and connecting with people and once I figured all of that stuff out, the discipline came down to creating essentially like a visual checklist. Like, okay, it's Monday. That means I release the episode on YouTube. I release it on Buzzsprout. I post this teaser clip to this social platform. I post this one to this platform, and each day of the week, making sure I had different content going out on different platforms. So yeah, it definitely helped because once I got disciplined about the content distribution, that's when you see the growth start to really take off.
So not just like sporadically peppering them in, like 3 on this week and none the next week.
Yeah, and for so many reasons, right? From everything down to like your audience becoming trained to, okay, it's Monday and episode's coming out. Like, as weird as it sounds, maybe if you're just starting out, like your audience is going to look forward to it, but you'll see it, right? You'll see an episode. I don't promote the episodes on the podcast version until like late in the week. There's no rhyme, reason, or thought process behind that's just what I picked to do. So I don't promote the audio format until the second half of the week. But the episode I just dropped on Tuesday had like 25 downloads the first day. I did zero promotion for the audio format, but people know, they see, hey, the episode's out. I'm going to go get it on, my podcast, wherever I like to listen to it. So yeah, being consistent is important for your audience, but then also for the algorithms too, right? They're looking for content creators who will be consistent, right? Because they're thinking about audience too. So, okay, this person posts sporadically. They do 5 episodes 1 week and then they don't do anything for 6 weeks. That's not somebody that as a platform, as our audience is going to be able to count on. And it's something that your audience isn't going to be able to count on either.
So there's a tool out there called Rev. Do you use Rev at all to like
No,
kind of transcribe?
Talk to me about it. I haven't used it,
Yeah,
I'm
you
learning
can
from
use
you.
Yeah, Rev is rev.com. I heard it from like a little snip of Gary Vee talking. It'll just transcribe everything you say into words that you can now put out into like on medium.com or like
Dope.
written format, and you could put that in your YouTube as well. You have the whole everything your conversation is, and it splits it up by speaker 1, speaker 2.
Oh,
Just go
that's
through it.
See, because that's something else I've been thinking about is like, how can I take the episodes and turn them into blog posts real easy?
Yeah, that was
and
it.
pull
Rev.
stuff out of. That's cool. I'm going to use that.
This is rev.com. And there was another cool one called the Headliner. It's called Headliner app. Do you use that at all?
No.
It'll take same thing. Like I got some songs, right? So I'm rapping. I got some songs out, and I'll put it on there. It'll actually take my words, boop, 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 on like a picture, and it'll show like a sound wave or whatever animation you want. And you can do little snips and drop it out with words. So podcast teasers, Headliner app.
Cool.
I think it's like gave you 3 a week, 3 free ones a week, 15 seconds or something.
Dude, that's more than enough. Yeah.
Yeah, trying to get you on it. So that's called Headliner.
I'm down. I'll Headliner and Rev. Yeah, and that's the cool thing too, right? Is like there's so many tools out there. I think people like just keep that in mind. Like if you see Gary Vee, understand he's got an entire content team, right? Cranking his stuff out. Like you
30
can't
people.
Right. You can't reasonably think that you are going to be creating, what's he say? The pillar content, 74 pieces of content a day. Guess what? If you tried to do that, you will burn out and not do it. Like, I assure you, pick one platform, be very intentional about what you're going to do. And once you get comfortable doing that, then add something and then add something. Like, start out just record it on Zoom with your camera, right? And then, check out Headliner, check out Rev. And once you start to do these things, you'll be like, oh, okay, like, I got this. I got this. I got 3 teaser clips now. I got an audio clip. Like, now you start running, right? But yeah, 1, get started, and 2, write down all that stuff that Sean Paul just mentioned. Because Headliner, right? So you got Headliner for the teaser audio clips. You got Buzzsprout for your distribution. You got Rev for the transcription. I like Veed.io, and because I wanted to make like those video teaser clips like Gary Vee has, right, with the little little block at the top, block on the bottom. And man, that's free. I spend $0 on that thing, and it makes your stuff look pretty cool. It does subtitles. You can do like a little teaser clip and put that out on social. So there you go. There's some resources.
You just had one with Craig.
Craig Benner's the man.
Yeah, it was round 2, and then you had one of those like teasers. I was watching before I jumped on.
Oh
with
yeah,
you.
yeah. I was going live on all my socials and stuff, and shouting out your show so people know it's coming. Yeah, Craig's killer, man. That guy's wicked smart.
Hey, so how can we help you? How can like listeners here, my listeners, your listeners, because we're gonna share this amongst ourselves and like the out of homies.
Yeah, the out of homies. Listen, the number one way you can help the show is to introduce it to someone new. So shout out. Here's second shout out for Ali Rupi. She was so instrumental in me starting this, and it's so funny because she just started listening to the podcast like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right, so a year later, but like, and I'll just like, I could show you the text, but her words, not mine. And so this would be my thing out to everybody is, she said this should be required listening for anyone that works in out of home. And it's not because of me. It's because of the guests. They're brilliant guests that share incredible insight. So if you listen to the show, awesome. Thank you so much. Please subscribe wherever you listen to it, whether it's podcast, YouTube, whatever, subscribe. But more importantly, share it with somebody else who could benefit from it. That would be the number one way to help.
Woo! There we go. Tim Rowe, the giver.
Hot take.
The giver. Hey, Tim, let me be on your show again.
Yeah, dude, let's do it. I think that we should do something. You should go on site. You're in Hawaii, man. Like,
yeah.
I think that we should do something out and about.
Am I in Hawaii though?
Is he?
No one's ever seen me out of this room.
It's true. It's true.
I might be in like Lithuania.
It's like, where's Tom Hanks, man?
I don't have a tan. Like,
yeah. Dude, all right. So can I just be honest here? Because maybe there's people that thought this too. Before we talked, I was like, man, this dude's like wearing a suit and stuff. Like, he's real buttoned up. And I'm like, man, I'm like way too laid back for this guy. Like, he's such a pro. But bro, you're so cool.
Thank you. I'm blushing, but I'm also usually pink. Yeah, my suit, right? My butt up. That was our headshots for I'm part of Entrepreneurs Organization. It's called EO. So you can find it on eonetwork.org. It's a group of over 14,000 entrepreneurs in countries all around the world. And there's a revenue, prerequisite of $1 million in annual sales to be able to be considered to be a member. And it's a peer-to-peer learning organization. So they give us these things like, okay, we're going to work on your bio. Everyone should have one. The whole club in Hawaii, there's 64 members. So we all did. We had a nice bio written about us. A lot of us did not have it. And then we made our LinkedIn profile better. They linked up, brought us in to get headshots. So I said, I was wearing surf shorts with those. I had a swimsuit, right? I'm not wearing pants. Anyway, but you choose which one you like, and it helps build your profile. And really, it's just EO. We call it EO. It's all about these once in a lifetime experiences. I went to Toronto for the Global Leadership Conference. It's called GLC. If we're on the board, you're required to go to a different country. And these are all held in different countries around the world.
Cool.
There was Singapore, there's Dubai, there's Australia, Germany. And everyone who's in it, in EO, they're like leaders in their industries, in their countries or cities or states.
Oh, wow.
So once people know like, oh, you're in EO, you get it. there's like a forum. You become part of a forum. So there's 8 people, right, in my forum in particular. Once a month, we have dinner together, and then we share amongst ourselves. And one person presents kind of what they're going through now, and it's like a topic that's going to be relevant to others, because we can't always speak freely to our employees about how we
Sure.
feel, or to our spouses, or to our business partners, or to our clients. But other people who are going through the same thing you are, whether it's a private business, family business, or you just started a company and you're growing crazy, we can all learn from each other. And a lot of people, their businesses are much bigger than mine, who I'm learning from and are part of my forum. So that's why I have the suit. And I kind of went off on that story there, but big shout out to eonetwork.org. You can check it out. I recommend, if anyone wants to be a part of it, go for it. There's even an accelerator program if you're not at that $1 million mark. If you're less than that, or even in college, as a support for there, as long as you have, I think college is $500 in sales, and then
Oh, that's
accelerator is
sick.
500,000 or something. But you make long lasting relationships. There's people in the out of home industry, um, TSN advertising, that they do just like a rolling ads, box trucks
Yeah,
throughout the
yeah, I
nation.
definitely seen him.
This guy Eric, I haven't even said what's up to him yet, but he's part of EO, and I was looking at his company because he was doing dope videos of his campaigns, like his trucks. If you go to, here's shout out, TSN advertising, just Google that. He had like the really cool wraps on his trucks and like nice videos and drone shots, and like, now that is how you show out of home, and that lives longer than the campaign. Digital, right?
Absolutely.
Digital. It's where we
Listen,
live.
yeah, for sure, right? And telling good stories, like, listen, some stories are told with pictures, and if your pictures suck, um, yeah, it's not gonna be much fun for people to read. And if you can replace pictures with video, like dope video like that, then
Yeah.
it's captivating. It's captivating.
So Tim, do you offer consulting services, or like, people, you've obviously been exposed to so many companies now. You're already a pro in your own right before you even started the show, like, professionally. So, you bridge the gap between digital and analytics and out of home and static and digital billboards too with Adams. Do you offer consulting? Like, I saw you did an episode where you guys built a website in like 25 minutes, and
It was
you did
crazy.
some crazy like things. But if someone want to get a hold of you and ask for your help, you talked a lot about, oh, we could use this online. It's a blue ocean strategy of Facebook ads for your out of home company. You talked about it, and talk about measurement. How do you measure out of home? Do you offer consulting services? Or like, how does that work?
Yeah, for sure. Anybody that's interested can reach out, get in touch, and first call is free. And yeah, I've consulted with some folks over the last couple months, and I think that they've gotten value from it. Because if nothing else, I'll give you a different perspective, maybe some things to think about. So yeah, just anybody that's interested in just having a conversation, reach out. Truly, we could talk. It's not going to cost money. If you want to get into a more official consultative agreement, then yeah, we can certainly do that too. But if you just want ideas, anybody, I mean, I talked to AEs, I talked to the C-suite, I talked to just about everybody in between. So if you got something you want to talk about, let's talk about it.
So what do you think you would say if, like, I just had some bullet points and I
Yeah,
said, hey,
hit
Tim
me.
Rowe can help you with this?
Mm.
What bullet points would you say? Is it Facebook ad strategy and targeting and actually ad spend, like putting money to it? Or what are those bullet points that you could say are your unique abilities, where you feel you shine, and you would compete? If someone was like a competition, you would compete and know you have it.
Yeah, so I would tell you that the answer probably varies depending on who it is. If you're a regional outdoor plant and you want to generate more leads, then I can show you how to generate more leads with your existing inventory and a little bit of money on Facebook to help one, your existing sales team sell more stuff, but two, if you're a small sales team and you need to make the most out of those people, then you definitely need leads and qualified conversations. So if you're a small regional outdoor plant and you need more leads, I can help you with that. If you want to, learn more about some of the conversations been around like mobile, geo targeting and geofencing billboards and that sort of conversation can help you get set up with vendors to be able to execute that without taking on new staff and adding to your existing infrastructure. Or if you are a bigger out of home company that wants to figure out where do we fit into the market, right? What's our product fit here? Where do we fit into the ecosystem, and how do we go to market? Yeah, so everything from lead generation at the local level to go to market strategy and anything in between, I can help you out with that.
Look at that, Tim Rowe, the resource.
Hey,
I tell you, man, you're building the roster of resources by straight up goodwill and bringing value.
thank you, man. I really
This is the
appreciate
truth.
that. I
All right,
appreciate that. It's a good business model.
not a bad one at all. All right, Tim, I'm gonna let you give the final word of this show.
Oh man. Oh, what's typically the final word? Something
I remember you said this
inspirational?
last time. Yeah, give it inspirational or something like timely.
I think, yeah. So let's talk about timely. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now. Do not let it distract you from what your business goals are. Keep your teams focused. Keep yourself focused. Because on the other side of this, I believe we're coming into the greatest. COVID was the greatest opportunity for folks to get reset and focused. Now it's time to cash out on that. So don't take your eye off the ball.
Nice. You heard it here first. Out of Home Insider host Tim Rowe, bringing the fire, bringing the knowledge, dropping it once again. One of the best resources I know in the out of home game, available for consultations. Like he said, we'll put your contact info in the description.
Appreciate it.
But give it a shout out right now so I can put it out too. How do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, listen, I'm super active on LinkedIn. Out of Home Insider has handles on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you can find us. TheOOHinsider.com will make it really easy to access the content in any way that you want. If you want to email me, out of home insider, all spelled out of home insider @gmail.com is the best way to get in touch.
All right. That's dope, Tim. You got it.
Sick, man. I loved it. It was a great time. Thanks for having me.